I'd like to call the Smithfield Town Council meeting to order. Today is May 13th, 2025. There were no votes taken in executive session. I'm going to read the prayer. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to gather us as a team. We invite our presence into your meeting and ask for your guidance and collaboration among us. Inspire us to bring positive change. Salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Emergency evacuation and health notification. In the event that the council chambers have to be emptied for an emergency, there are two exits, one at the immediate rear of the council chambers, or out the door, stairway to the right, and it brings you to the front of the building. Second exit is to my right. That exit brings you downstairs to the side of the building. Please do not use the elevator in the event of an emergency. Ladies' room and men's room, out the rear exit of the chambers. Ladies' room to the left, men's room to the right. Thank you. Item number 5, consider, discuss, act upon appointment of the Smithfield Town Manager. Councilwoman Bovis.
Thank you, President Tassoni. At this time, I would like to move to appoint Robert Seltzer as the town manager. The motion will be appoint Chief Robert Seltzer as permanent town manager at a salary of $156,000 per year and his existing benefits package. And before I stop, I would just like to say a few remarks. This process.
Hang on, Councilwoman, do we have a second? Second by Councilman Winfield, go ahead.
Thank you. This process to appoint a town manager has been going on for almost 10 months. Since October 1st, a little more than 7 months ago, when our previous town manager, Randy Rossi, left his position, there has been extensive meeting, discussions, interviews, and processes that took place to choose the right candidate for the job. I believe that this candidate is Robert Seltzer. I wanted to kind of lay out the timeline for the public and for some people maybe that haven't been involved since the beginning. On August 1st of 2024, there was a special meeting held to initiate the process of appointing a town manager. On August 22nd, there was a meeting to approve the job description, salaries, etc. The council at that time also passed a resolution to form a town manager search committee this has been done in the past for the appointment of other town managers. This committee consisted of 5 qualified members of the public to aid in the selection, some of which who are part of the selection for previous town manager Randy Rossi and others. These members have HR experience, they're professors, they're business owners in town. There was a department chief on the committee as well. On October 1st, 2024, Randy Rossi left us for a position at the League of City and Towns. I see him here today. We miss you, but, you know, life goes on.
That's good. That's good.
I didn't expect you to be here. I have your name so many times in this, so hello. After that, on October 1st, after he left, Chief Seltzer was appointed as the interim town manager. And on October 16th, a short 2 weeks later, the town manager search committee met and organized and began the process of searching for our next town manager. At this first meeting, the board discussed the process that they would use to select the town manager. They discussed, quote, must-have qualifications. They interviewed members of the town council as to the qualities that they individually would look for in a town manager. The committee then met consistently thereafter, whittling down a list of applicants, interviewing those applicants, and discussing qualifications at length. On March 31st, 2025, so from October 16th to March 31st of 2025, these meetings were taking place. On March 31st of 2025, at a closed session meeting between the town council and the search committee, they presented their findings to us. The committee's extensive and comprehensive work was presented. The committee reviewed questionnaires, interviewed the candidates, they discussed the candidates' qualifications. They used a blind ranking system to score each candidate individually, and then those scores were then compiled into a larger group discussion. On April 8th, 2025, the town council separately discussed in closed session next steps and decided to schedule interviews with 3 candidates that were presented to us. On April 28th, 2025, those interviews were conducted. Prior to these interviews being conducted, we received all the resumes, answers to the questionnaires, documents and scoring sheets from the committee. The police department also performed reference and background checks, which we had access to as well. This was a confidential and closed session, so without going into too much detail about the specifics of the interviews, the process in which we conducted those interviews were as fair and objective as possible. All 3 candidates were interviewed via Zoom, although we did have one candidate that lived in town and was available to us in person. Out of an abundance of caution and fairness, we interviewed everybody via Zoom. Each interview lasted 30 minutes, and each member had the opportunity to ask any question that they wanted of that individual. It is my position that these interviews were fair, unbiased. It is also my position that the general selection process was fair, efficient, informed, and unbiased as well. This is the first time I have been a part of watching a town manager be selected. I think this process was was very efficient, and in the future, I think we should continue with this process. Now, regarding Chief Seltzer specifically, I received many calls and messages from residents in town expressing their support for Chief Seltzer and his candidacy for town manager. Some words I've heard described of Chief Seltzer are charismatic, sorry not to embarrass you, knowledgeable, responsive, communicative. They described his public service as streamlined and efficient, and creative as well. I would echo those sentiments. Since his time as town manager, even since my time, since I wasn't sworn in until January, he has opened up communication with the school department, which is our largest department in town. He has worked closely with our finance director and budget and financial review board on this year's budget. Even my personal experience as a town council member, he's been always responsive to me, answers all my questions. Even if he doesn't know the answer, he gets the answer to me as soon as he can. Now, I'm not going to say that Chief Seltzer is perfect. There's, of course, growing pains that come along with moving into the town manager position. However, I do believe that he's equipped to withstand those pains. He has the knowledge that it takes to understand the position. He knows the town. He loves this town. He has the resources that throughout other department heads that he can use and tap into if he needs help in a certain area. And he's not afraid to ask questions, which I think is an invaluable quality that we can have in a town manager, the ability to work with other department heads and get the job done. Now, Robert Seltzer is a dedicated public servant. He had 13 years in the Smithfield Fire Department and 36 years in a month of public service in general. He has a bachelor's degree in engineering, a master's degree in public administration. He's attended leadership programs and has many other certifications. He's also served in various leadership roles throughout his career, some of which include the Smithfield Fire Chief, of course, as we all know, President of the New England Association of Fire Chiefs, Vice President of the same, President of the Rhode Island Association of Fire Chiefs. He's been a task force leader, Deputy EMA Director. He's also been an instructor and manager for various courses, educational courses over the last 30 years. Now, his knowledge of the state, of the town, of public service, his ability to learn and adapt, I believe will make this transition seamless. And again, I'm excited to appoint him as our next town manager. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. Like many cities and towns in Rhode Island, Smithfield is under increasing financial pressure due to inflation, revenue constraints, and deteriorating infrastructure from years of neglect. It is therefore imperative to have a town manager with sufficient managerial, budgetary, and financial experience to deal with these challenges. Unfortunately, the previous town council did not approve a proposal to use a recruitment firm to find the best possible candidates. The town manager selection committee did an excellent job screening and rating the limited amount of qualified applicants that we received. The town council, as Council Vice President Bovis indicated, elected to interview 3 of these applicants, and 30-minute video interviews were conducted on April 28th. The 30-minute time limit for each interview was strictly observed, even though council members had additional questions. This led me to believe that additional interviews would be conducted. I was later told by the town council president that there would be no additional interviews and that the interim town manager would be appointed as the permanent town manager tonight. I was told this despite the fact that following the interviews, there was no council discussion held regarding the relative merits of the candidates, and no attempt was made to reach a consensus on which candidate would be the best choice for town manager. This is not the kind of process one would expect for the appointment of such an important position for our town. The abrupt termination of the selection process deprived the council of the information necessary for us to be confident that we were making the best selection for our town. This was not the kind of process that our residents expect and deserve.
Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. President. I'd once again like to thank the 5 volunteers of the Town Manager Evaluation Committee for the hours of time and effort they spent screening the town manager candidates. Completely separate from this committee, overall, I am quite disappointed with this whole process. It was not proper, structured, fair, or transparent. The last council never sat down and discussed as a group and discussed the process by which we would even appoint an interim town manager. I am unaware, excuse me, I am unaware if any council members were even involved in that initial selection process. That was the first problem. The Valley Breeze then published that Chief Seltzer was going to be the new interim town manager when the council had not even appointed him yet. As Councilman Ionati stated, the last council opposed moving forward with an external search firm, which he and I supported. That decision made the process exclusive. How? Exclusive in that a high-quality, viable applicant pool was immediately and significantly reduced due to the absence of active recruiting. Highly qualified candidates with specialized experience are less commonly looking for a new job. Therefore, one must go out and get them, hence active recruitment. The process continued to be exclusive in that at least 2 members of this council did not have much say about how this hiring process was to be conducted past one standard procedural item discussed in closed session. There was no formal discussion nor an official vote at a properly noticed meeting of the council regarding how we would interview candidates. We did not even have a say regarding how long the interviews would be. What is more is we were not even asked if we were available the night that they were scheduled. The amount of time spent interviewing the candidates for the top 6-figure administrative job in this town was a complete joke, in my opinion. I wish to ask further questions, but there was never an opportunity for follow-up. One of the most concerning aspects of this whole process is that after the interviews, the full council did not schedule a properly noticed meeting for any of the following tasks: to discuss the candidates, possible next steps, or take an official vote on who to add to the agenda for appointment and when. Instead, the interim town manager was handpicked by 1 or more members and added to tonight's agenda. Although it is legal for any member of the council to add an item to the agenda, it doesn't take away from the fact that members of this council were intentionally excluded and flat out denied from having any say regarding anything following the interviews. This is wrong, especially with this consequential of a decision. If our feedback and opinions do not matter, what does that really say? Do the residents who voted for us and their opinions do not matter either? In closing, I will be voting no on this appointment mainly because of the process.
Well, I have to say something, because Councilman Ionati and I walked down there and I said to him about the interviews. We chatted about who we wanted to interview. So it's, what you said is not true. It's not true. And he can, didn't I or didn't I not go down there and talk to you about that?
You did. You talked to me about it. We talked about 30 minutes, but we never talked about, any follow-up interviews. What I'm saying is that once we got into the interview process, it was clear that 30 minutes was not going to be sufficient for each.
Well, you
of
had
these
their numbers, you could have called them, right? You had all the applications.
Well, I could have called them, but you know what? It appeared to me when this is put on the agenda and you're telling me who's going to be appointed, that the decision's already been made. So why
Well,
would I
that
waste
was
my
weeks
time?
prior, Mike. Come on, that was weeks prior. I'll call the vote. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Winfield. Yes. Member Toppy.
Nay.
Member Ionati.
Nay.
Vice President Bovis.
Aye.
And President Tassoni.
Aye. Congratulations, Chief. ahead. The chief will like the floor. So, I know it's going to get a little emotional. This is a bittersweet ending for my career, because obviously I'm on the tail end of my career. This in my life at this point. I want to thank Council President Tassoni, Council Vice President Bovis, Councilman Winfield supporting me and having faith in my ability to be the next Smithfield Town Manager. The last 7 months as your interim town manager have been a great experience and an opportunity to find out firsthand that I truly enjoy and look forward to the permanent position. What has been the most influence on me to move forward as the permanent town manager is the support I received from this community. It was overwhelming. Over the last 7 months, I received support from residents, business owners, town employees, other town managers, and mayors from other communities. I'm very proud of that. I'm grateful for that. And I never asked a single person to support me. I had politicians and others come up to me. I said, just let the process go. I'm not looking for anybody to push. I'll make it on my own. And I appreciate all the people that offered to do that for me. Every department with our town government has welcomed me, supported me throughout the last 7 months. I truly appreciate the support, and I believe I have earned their trust as well. I'm humbled and grateful for all the support and look forward to leading the town municipal government for the betterment of the community. I would be remiss not to mention the fire department. It has been my honor to have such a great group of men and women under my command for 2 months shy of 13 years. What a ride it has been, one which I enjoyed every day, would not change a thing. Thank you, Smithfield firefighters. Finally, I look forward to the continued service to the community to keep the town of Smithfield the best place to live, work, and play. And I guess I need to add another statement that I didn't plan on doing at this point. And regardless of the support or not of the 5 council members, I will support all of them. That's my job. My job is to support the town council, the employees, the residents in the community, and the businesses. And I plan on doing that with 100% of what I have to give. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 7, approve the minutes of the April 1st, 2025 executive session meeting held pursuant to the Rhode Island General Laws, Section 46-5A1 personnel, to interview Christine Holmes, Linda Marcello, Drew Maylow, Louis Caterina, Chad Morrissey, with a possible appointment and reappointment to town boards and commissions. Section 42-46-5A5, real estate potential acquisition or lease of real estate property by approval as recorded and sealed. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item B, move the minutes of the April 1st, 2025 open session meeting to be recorded. I'll entertain a motion. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nay, ayes have it. Item C, move the minutes of the April 8th, 2025 executive session meeting, Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A1, personnel to discuss town manager application to be approved and recorded as sealed. I'll entertain a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nay, ayes have it. Item D, move the minutes of April 8th, 2025 open session meeting to be approved as recorded. I'll entertain a motion. Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item E, move the minutes of the April 15th, 2025 executive session meeting held pursuant to the Rhode Island General Laws 42-46.
5A. Oh, good catch. Personnel to interview Gary Koss, Michael Korowski, Karen Catlow, Trish Williams, Charlie Giacavoni, possible appointment and reappointment to Town Board and Commission, the Section 42-46-5A, real estate, potential acquisition and lease of real estate property to be approved as recorded and sealed. I'll entertain a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item number 8, consider act upon the following possible appointments and reappointments. Land Trust appointments, 2 terms to be expired in September of 2025.
Motion to appoint Gary Koss as the first alternate to Land Trust for a term expiring September 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, Board of Canvassers appointment, the term expiring March of 2026.
Appoint the town council hereby appoints Karen Catlow as
Apologies, I didn't know that both of these were together. Yeah. I don't know if I can amend my motion to include Michael Karolewski for the Land Trust.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was all in one.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Board of Canvassers appointment, term expiring March of 2026. Representative Winfield? Councilman Winfield?
council hereby appoints Karen Catlow as a second alternate on the Board of Canvassers for a term expiring in March 2026.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item C, Board of Canvassers reappointment to the term expiring March of 2026.
Motion to appoint Patricia Williams.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item D, Board of Canvassers reappointment to the term expiring March of 2031.
Motion to appoint Charles Giacovone.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item number E, the Planning Board appointment will be moved to the next meeting, which is 5/20. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Public hearings. Conduct a public hearing to consider and discuss or act upon amendment, Chapter 102, Code of Ordinance entitled Traffic Safety Commission to amend Section 102 entitled Creation Powers Duties, sponsored by Councilman Ionati and Councilwoman Toppy.
Mr. President, this is a very simple amendment to the ordinance to create a three-year term for the member of the Traffic Safety Commission who is a town resident.
Move passage? Do I have a second?
Passage. Well, we have to have the public hearing.
Okay. Public hearing, now open. Close the public hearing.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Schedule a public hearing on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025, to consider, discuss, and amendment upon Chapter 340, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinance entitled Schedule of Penalties and Amendment, Section 340-15A entitled Non-Moving Violations, and adding therefore Section 340-15C entitled Temporary No Parking Regulations. I have a motion.
So moved.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item C, conduct a public hearing to consider and discuss or act upon approving a new Class B particular beverage license for Two Brothers Restaurants LL DBA Frank and Johnny's on the Water, 743 Putnam Pike, with the hours operation to be Monday through Sunday, 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations, local ordinances, and a copy of the retail license permit and certification of good standing for the Round Division of Taxation. I declare the public hearing open. Yes, you may. Please state your name and where you're from.
My name is Juan Cortez. Hello? Yeah. My name is Juan Cortez. I live in the town of Johnson, but I work in Smithfield. My uncle is Henry Rios. He's the new owner of Frank and John's on the Water. We're still in the process of getting the cleanup from the previous owners. To get the retail permit, we're probably a couple of days away from that. And then the certificate of good standing is just shortly right after that. So it's just, we're just in the process of getting that ironed out. But other than that, we should be ready to go with your permission.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
Are you aware that taxes are due on the property? Is it real estate taxes? Tangible taxes are due on the property.
We are not at this time. We are currently just renting the location, but we will be, I will bring it up to them.
Yeah, but we can't give you a license with that outstanding.
So no, I would just,
Table it?
Can we approve subject to?
you could approve the license subject to.
Okay.
How much longer do you need?
Probably, as far as from taxation, all they're waiting on is one document from the closing year of the previous payroll from the previous owners to be able to kind of give us that retail, and then the certificate. So I'm probably like a week away.
That's associated with the certificate of good standing, right? The tangibles being paid? No, that's
That's a
separate.
different issue.
Okay.
That's a different issue.
Move it to the next meeting.
What's
Did you
that?
say a week? Did you say a week?
Yeah, just about a week. We weren't aware of any tangible taxes that were owed. We haven't received any notification, but we'll.
Those would have been due from the prior owner, so when you closed, they normally would have paid them at closing.
Yeah, we've been learning a little bit about some of their closing activities, but we'll be right on it. We're just trying to.
All right, so this is what we'll do. We'll put it on next Tuesday's agenda.
Okay,
So we'll give you a week to,
straighten things
straightened
out.
out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
You're gonna continue with.
Excuse me, sir, are you willing to pay the tangible tax? This has been a repetitive problem with that property.
Yeah, we just acquired the location. We're learning about the location
Oh, I
along with the
understand
town. So if there's something that we
You're
need to
not
take care of.
required to pay it, but this, you're separate from just to clarify, because
Okay.
there's been like 3 different owners in the
That's-
last couple of years. You're separate from that, it's totally separate from that previous owner, correct?
Correct,
All right,
completely.
Thank you.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to next Tuesday.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great
See you
night.
next Tuesday.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Item D, conduct a public hearing to consider and discuss act upon approving 2 one-day sales licenses at Watlow, oh boy, Boulevard of Rhode Island, Inc. for New Year celebration at 88 Lime Rock Road, dates following Saturday, May 17, 2025, from 11 to 6, and Sunday, May 18th, from 11 to 6. All special license events for Watlow of Rhode Island Incorporated are subject to compliance with all state regulations and ordinances. Is all,
So moved.
have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item 10, licenses. Consider, discuss, act upon approving a victular license to Two Brothers Restaurant LLC, Frank and Johnny's on the Water, located at 743 Putnam Pike, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances, and a copy of the retail license permit.
Motion to table this to the May 20th meeting?
A motion to table to next Tuesday's meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, consider, discuss, act upon approving entertainment license for Two Brothers Restaurant LLC, Frank and Johnny's on the Water, located at 743 Putnam Pike, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances.
Motion to continue to the May 20th meeting?
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item C, consider, discuss, act approving a special dance license for Two Brothers, excuse me, Two Brothers Restaurant LLC, Frank and Johnny's on the Water, located at 743 Putnam Pike, as applied, subject to compliance with all state law and regulations and local ordinances.
Motion to continue to May 20th meeting?
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item D, consider, discuss, act upon approving the annual 1 bingo license as applied, subject to compliance with all state law and local residents and ordinances for the Esmond Village Tennis Association at 3 Village Drive, apartment 112. The fee has been waived. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item E,
Consider, discuss, and act upon approving annual renewal of one particular only license as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances, the Sandwich Shack LLC, the Sandwich Shack at 9 Cedar Swamp Road, Unit 10. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Nays, ayes have it. Item F, consider, discuss, act upon an annual renewal of 5 peddlers license as listed and applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances. A&W, Com Enterprises, Dells. Maria LLC, and Rhode Island Kana LLC. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item G, consider, discuss, and act upon approving annual renewal of 2 holiday licenses as listed and applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and ordinances, Cello's Partnership, and Bar and Yoga Experience.
So moved.
Second. So moved.
Any discussion?
I second that, sorry.
No discussion? All in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item H and item I will be put on the June 3rd agenda. Has to do with massage therapy licenses. We need to do some investigation on that, so that we put on the June 3rd council meeting.
I'll make a motion to move item H and item I to the June 3rd agenda.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm just wondering why we wouldn't approve all of them except one. Oh, okay, okay, I didn't realize
Just to
that.
check them all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item J, consider, discuss, act upon approving sidewalk sales license for Emerici LLC, Blackie's Bulldog Tavern at the Whole Farmers Market every Sunday beginning May 24th through October 4th with the hours of operation from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the property located at 280 George Washington Highway as applied, subject to compliance with all state law and local ordinances.
Mr. President, I'm not sure if someone from Blackie's is here this evening. It doesn't seem that way. Based on, I just know there's a lot of parking issues over there and traffic issues over there. I just don't know if that's a part of the licensing application to get some type of approval from the police department or something, just because, I mean, there's issues as is, so, and I know how the farmer's market can draw a lot of attention. I don't want to prevent a farmer's market from coming into town, obviously, but I just,
Well, they currently have an agreement with places across the street, Stanley Tree, for parking.
right.
So,
I think it's still something, I think just worth noting, so, but that's it. I just wanted to make that comment.
all right, so if we'll put, yeah,
I have no issue approving the item, I just think I think it, maybe some communication with Blackie's might,
maybe we can say, why don't we put it on next Tuesdays and invite them to come here, please?
It's fine.
You want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion to move item J to the 5:20 meeting, please.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item K, consider that, discuss act upon approving. All right. Annual renewal of one mobile food truck license as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances from Max Screaming Corn and Tacos.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item L, consider the act upon approving the holiday license for Goodwill Southern New England, Inc., DBA Goodwill, located at 452 Putnam Pike as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances, and signature of the owner of the premises.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item 11, consider the act upon authorizing the purchase through the Houston Galveston Area Council Cooperative of the one engine pumper from Greenwall Emergency Vehicles of North America, Massachusetts, for the price of $1,070,002 to be funded through EMS third-party billing. Welcome, Chief, Acting Chief, Baby Chief.
Yeah, so I was able to reach out to the vendor
like we discussed last time, I know it's a concern that when the truck arrived at Greenwood that we'd have to pay for it, but they agreed that when the truck actually arrived in Smithfield, that the payment would have to be due. In the email I sent you, I think that the thing went out in February, that we have 2028 that the truck, but even then, at that time, so lettering, lighting, and all that other stuff, radios have to go in, and all those items, so that's still a few months out.
Plus, was it $600,000?
605,000 approximately on there.
So what is the reason for the large increase? That's a huge
It
increase.
is. I wish I had a solid answer, but it's pretty much just one group, it's a conglomerate that's brought up all these companies over the last few years and basically are taking control over a lot of the situation, that they're actually controlling the maintenance costs, the lead time to have these trucks produced.
You weren't directly involved with that purchase. We bought the ladder truck, the pumper, and a rescue, all three at once, and that's why we got the better pricing on it.
I see that North Providence, they purchased the same truck in '23 for just under 700,000. And yeah, this was purchased in '22 for 612,000. So that went up, what, like 80, 90,000 approximately. So it's gone up that much in 4 years.
And it's a twin, it's pretty much an exact twin to the truck we bought back in 2020, 2019, 2020. The only difference in the specs of it is they went with a flat roof instead of a raised roof. That's the only difference in the truck. And they added one outlet, or discharge rather.
The thought behind this, Chief Pearson, is that secure the price now, but the payment wouldn't become due until the truck is delivered,
2020.
which you're estimating to be sometime early 2028.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
Okay. And I know last time we were here, and I didn't see it in the package this time, but I remember last time there was indicia from the company that there was additional price hikes on the horizon, correct? Concerns of price hikes?
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, as of good news this
Apologize.
weekend, I think things are calming down a little bit, but
Okay.
who knows? So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the truck's almost at 10 years old. This is right around the timeline we start considering doing the replacement, especially with 3 years out. NFPA standard says between 10 and 15 years if your truck can even make it that long. I mean,
The truck is
obviously,
10 years now, you're saying?
It'll be 10 years old
This year?
next year.
Okay, so by 2028, you're saying it'll be
Yeah, it'll be 12.
closer to, okay.
Yeah, 13 years old. And obviously, we live in New England, road salt, it's starting to, you see corrosion underneath and stuff like that, so.
Just also to understand, we pass these trucks down, so we'll actually get 20, maybe 22 years out of them. So as a truck gets replaced, the one replacing goes into reserve status. We keep 2 reserve pumpers, one for each of our mainline pumpers. So what happens is if a mainline pumper has service, the reserve goes in to cover the day if it might be out for service, for example. The other thing we do with them, if we have to call extra personnel in during a major snowstorm or hurricane, we staff those trucks. So their time on the road is limited, so they last longer. To do the day-to-day, we run around 13, 14 runs a day. So to do that every day with using the same trucks over time, unfortunately, they do break down. But you get about 22 years out of the vehicles.
So describe how we're going to pay for the truck.
The finance director and I are going to put the money aside over the next 4 years through the EMS billing, so when it comes in, we can pay for it. We're discouraging the use of going into the general fund and paying ourselves back because of debt service. That is creating a significant debt service, and we can't afford to keep doing that. So our recommendation is since we have the time, we put the money aside, it comes in, we can pay for it. So we're putting that money aside.
And is that going to be included in the FY '26 budget?
No, because we're going to take it out of EMS billing and put it into an account. So we're going to show it going 2 places. Some of it goes towards the budget, some of it goes towards, you'll see it go into the account, and the rest of it will stay in the EMS billing account.
But the EMS billing account, you get about $1 million a year in that.
We should be getting about 1.3 this year going with the new vendor.
And normally, you have all the capital expenditures for the fire department out of the EMS billing account, and the remainder goes into the operating
Not the
account,
remainder, a portion of.
a portion of the remainder.
Right.
So what happens to the rest of it?
It stays in that account. It bills, whatever's left in that account bills.
So you have like a fund balance in that account?
Yes, there's always a fund balance.
So what's the fund balance now?
I don't have it in front of me right now.
Didn't you say 909,000?
That was the balance as of like March, like the last check that came in.
So, if the truck came in early, would we have the $1 million to pay it?
We'd have to take it out of fund balance. Even if it comes in
anticipate it
year
coming
3, we could take the remaining 250 out of fund balance and pay it back within the months after that.
Well, it is 3 years. It's 3.
Right.
February 25 to February 28 is 3 years.
And that's if we ordered it
Now,
last month.
Right, but I think what the town manager is saying is that he's going to start putting the money aside now.
right.
Right.
So that would have, and because it's coming out of the fund balance, it doesn't go through the rescue billing balance. It doesn't go through the budget process at all. It's not included in the budget because it's not hitting the taxpayer-funded part of the budget or the EMS, but it's hitting the EMS billing part.
The overall cost will come out of EMS billing. I mean, I'm not, so look, I'm going to tell you right now, we're making some changes here because the town has not been saving money, okay? I got the Budget and Finance Review Board to stop putting capital money away, so we finally start saving some money. We got the Camp Shepherd, we got a lawsuit we're paying for, we got so many vehicles that we've taken out of our fund, but we cannot afford to do this anymore. And, we want to come up with a better way to use the taxpayers' money, and we're losing interest on top of all of that. So it makes sense to put the money aside, so when it comes in, we pay it off, it's done, and we're reducing our debt service is what we're trying to accomplish. And we just let too much stuff, and I'm not blaming anybody, it's nobody's fault, but when you go through the budget and look how things are, it's just obvious that we cannot continue to borrow against our own funds, because it's just digging a big hole. Unfortunately, that's what it's doing.
But we're also paying at the same time for the pumper truck that we purchased 2 years ago. So how is that? I mean, so we're going to pay.
Well, that's coming out of that as well. All your capital from fire department capital comes out of EMS billing. So you take a portion of that, I think one of them's gonna fall off in 2 years, I think. We have a rescue ladder and a pumper. So they're gonna fall off. We're gonna take the 250, put it aside, and we're still gonna put 900,000 into the budget and still be able to do that.
So why are we doing this now, which would cause the purchase to occur in fiscal '28 when it's not in the capital program till fiscal?
We don't
29?
follow the capital program. I've been here for 13 years, and we don't follow the capital program.
Well, maybe that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. Maybe that's something the town council should address. I've always tried to follow it in the fire department. We do not have the money to fund all the capital projects.
Well, I'm not saying we have to fund all of them, but, do we want to fund more than what's, if we fund less, that's okay, but,
Well,
because that's the long-term plan for the town as approved by the town council.
we don't
So
follow.
that's what concerns me when we.
This is following the plan. That truck is supposed to be replaced when it comes in. That is in the plan. This truck is in the plan. And the only reason, and we've done this with 3 other trucks, so this should be no surprise, we've been buying them early to save the money and because it's taken so long to build them. We just ran into that with some DPW trucks a couple of years ago. It's a different marketplace now, and if we don't stay up with it, we're gonna be paying even more money. That's what we're trying to avoid, lock into this price now knowing we're gonna see it in 3 or 4 years, when we actually need the truck. Because I know the trucks, it's unbelievable how they've gone up. It's crazy, but the marketplace has forced that on us.
Any other discussions?
Yes, Interim Chief Pearson, I just, so the truck that was purchased or was approved in 2022, January, by the council, it said that the delivery day would be 450 days. When did it actually come in?
I don't have the exact date, to be honest. I don't think it didn't come in on time, I can tell you that.
It didn't come in what, I'm sorry?
It did come in on time, it was
was later?
Yeah.
It was late.
We'd never gotten a truck on time.
The same with the other two ladders and
Since I've
ambulance?
been here, in 20 even like going years back, we've never had a truck come in on time. Because once it does come from the manufacturer, there's a lot that goes into it with inspections and
Yeah.
installations of radios and all that kind of stuff, the training that goes with it.
So I'm wondering, I was researching that prior purchase, and there was a lot more information in terms of financial analysis, and they did offer guaranteed discount amounts if you put 25%, 50%, whatever the case may be. So was that not available? Did we not try to do
It's an
that?
option if we wanted to make payments going forward, if we wanted to put a little bit down. It is an option that I've discussed with the vendor.
So this sheet right here, so if that was available, I mean, I'm not sure why we didn't get it, but,
It was just a discussion that the vendor, like, basically what you do, you can put a little bit down, whatever interest it accrues, that goes, you get credit for that interest.
is that something we can look into?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just the other thing, make a note, this, I don't know how we can approve this contract, says it would expire unless accepted within 30 days or extended within, unless it's in writing at discretion of the company, and it's already past 30 days, so I don't know how we can really approve this.
I'm going to just contact with the vendor. He's given me his word that he's good to go with this contract. They've never changed, as far as I know.
No, they've always honored it.
They've always-
Totally believe you, I just would rather have the documentation in front of me.
Is there any way we could put this in the budget to have it show up so that we know that we actually, in our list of capital items, know that we're paying for this and putting the money
It would
aside
only
for
show
it?
on the revenue side where we took, where we moved the revenue from the EMS billing account to you can call it a fire truck payment or capital
Right.
payment account. It would show on the revenue side.
Because I think,
It would offset, it would show you putting it aside, and then on the revenue side, you'd see the.
so it will show up? It will show
This
up?
won't show up in this year's budget because we're done.
Well, no, we're not done. We haven't approved it yet. You can still.
Well, we
budget
can put
board
it in there, but
make
just-
changes, or we can, the town council can.
I
make
can talk
changes.
to Caitlin about it.
Yeah, I think that would make, I think it makes sense to have as much transparency as possible on, what we have out there and what we're spending money on, because especially, when the budget board is looking at the budget, they need to know, what the expenses are, even if they're coming from, rescue billing or wherever they're coming from, because, money is fungible and it's less money we have available for other things.
Okay. When the fourth station's done, you said? I'm
No,
sorry?
no, the addition.
Oh, the addition,
Yeah.
okay. And just lastly, is there no consideration to buy a used pumper? I mean, North Providence just bought a new one and a 2011
We did
for
have
half the
some, we
price.
do have some used ones for reserve purposes, but, I mean, even then, you're going to run into the same issues along the line, because even if you buy a 10-year-old truck, it's going to be the same issues in 5 years that you have to replace it.
Did you guys look into that at all, or no?
We didn't even look at it.
You didn't? Okay. Thank you.
What's your pleasure?
Chief Pearson, you said so currently you have a pumper truck and a reserve pumper truck?
Correct.
Or two of each, actually, right?
Two, yes.
Okay,
Well,
so-
one is out of service right now for maintenance.
Okay, in general, that's
In
what you
general,
have?
yes.
Okay, so if you purchase this new pumper truck, correct? Then the current newest one goes into reserve,
Yep.
right? And then what happens to the one that's currently in reserve now?
In the past, we've sold them.
Okay, so there's some type of offsetting of the
offset,
cost with
yeah.
that. What's the typical sale price for those types?
Depending on age, it depends.
Okay. Are we talking a couple 100,000 or less?
No, I would say less than 100,000.
Less than 100,000, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends.
So the value of them is pretty,
They decreased
Okay.
substantially.
I just have a last request. Oh, sorry, last request is that if we approve this, can you send us the extension in writing from the company so we know that?
They're honoring this price?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, thank you.
What's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we enter in for Greenwood Emergency Vehicles from North Attleboro for a price of $1,070,002.00 to be funded through EMS billing, third-party billing.
Have a second?
Second, and I would just add, subject to that new contract, Councilman Toffey's request, updated contract, yeah.
Have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Item 12, consider, discuss, act upon authorizing the request for proposals for Microsoft Office 365 mitigation program. So Dave DeShano unfortunately was ill, and he's actually still at the hospital. He's been there for like 7 hours now, so this here is a grant that we got to move over all of our computers, emails, et cetera, to Microsoft Office 365. And it's for all of our, I think the school system's already on it, but it's for all of our town facilities. And it also includes the service contract for 1 year on top of it. So where we pay for service contracts now for a lot of our electronics and our emails, or we pay a fee, we're actually, we end up getting like, we're saving 1 year's worth because we're not paying the others, so. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Smithfield Council approve the release of an RFP for Microsoft Office 365 migration project in accordance with the applicable procurement policies and procedures.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, consider, discuss, authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract for the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 308 with Oshin for the provision and installation of private internet lines, internet access, and security services for the amount not to exceed $82,458.90 to be funded by the state local cybersecurity grant program. Thank you, Mr. President. This particular item is to move us off of the Cox Internet service to the Ocean Network. Ocean Network is used by all the municipalities. School system has been on it for several years now. The libraries have been on it. It's a much more secure network. And actually, the pricing, once we switch over, is better than the Cox pricing. So Dave DeShano, our IT director, was able to secure this grant, which pays for 100% of the installation and the first year of service. And we're also working on some other grants to switch over the remaining municipal buildings we have in town. So hopefully he's lucky again this year and we can wrap up the rest of our buildings. He's done a very good job with working on this stuff and making sure we're in good shape on the IT side. I'll entertain a motion.
We
Hang on,
authorize
hang on,
to-
hang on.
Good evening. Tom Hodgkins, 200 Front and Pike. Is it this one?
the other
Or this one?
Both of them.
The little one.
Both of them, okay. This looks like the contract is for 1 year for the service component, is that correct?
Yes, the first year, correct.
So it's going to be subject to annual renegotiation?
Yeah, yeah, it's the same, it's, instead of us having service with Cox, we're gonna have service with Ocean, and their annual agreements are much less than what we've been paying.
Okay, and Ocean is then setting the price for the service component, is that right?
Yes.
If the price that Ocean is providing in some year down the road is not advantageous to the town, and the town would want to go back to Cox or some other provider, would that require the town to then have an additional infrastructure expense to have or move the equipment back to a Cox-type internet provider?
No, Cox is already passes by all of our buildings, and we already have, the cables are in our buildings right now, so it would be just a matter of hooking the modems back up and switching to Cox.
Okay, so
We don't have Ocean equipment right now, that's why there's an additional expense for their equipment.
Right. I'm just concerned about putting this equipment in and then not having any ability to go with a different provider on price because we're locked into their equipment. So I just wanted to find out if there'd be any extra cost. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if we have the Cox equipment here now, we could switch back if we.
Yes, yes. All the wiring for Cox will remain in all the buildings.
Councilman Winfield.
Okay, we authorize the town manager to enter in a contract through the MPA 308 Information Technology Network, Telecommunications, Cloud and Security Products and Services with Ocean for the provision and installation of private internet lines, internet access and security services up to and not to exceed $82,458.90.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, did we say what the annual cost was? Was it 25,000? I thought that was the service, 56,000. So we don't know what the upcoming annual cost is. You negotiate it every year? Is that, did we confirm that? I didn't hear the answer.
3 years, usually 3 years.
Well, it says 25 to 26, so it's only 1 year.
Yeah, well, that's the grant. The grant pays for 1 year, then we have to pick things up later.
So what's the cost?
I don't know the cost offhand. Dave doesn't, unfortunately, he's not with us tonight.
What was
don't
it,
think-
less than
Well, it's
Cox?
less than Cox, yeah. Yeah, we did do
Saving money.
comparisons before we decided to move forward with this.
So we're in a 1-year contract then? Or 3
This
year?
pays, the grant pays for 1 year and all the equipment and installation. After that, all we do is pay the monthly fee.
But they're 1-year contracts, is that right? Because that's what it says on their invoice.
This is correct, this is 1 year.
So we
We can
redo it?
negotiate later after that.
I'm just confirming the length of time. Thank you.
Motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item C, consider, discuss, and act upon awarding a contract for Beta Group through the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 584B to analyze flooding conditions in the Deer Run Estates subdivision in the amount of $89,430 to be paid for by the Capital Reserve Funds.
Good evening, Town Engineer Josh Jelly. So our department released an RFQ a few months back to,
I'm sorry, you might want to put that down. It doesn't work.
Use the little one.
Just
It's like
put it
attached.
down, yeah.
that one better? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
No, it's-
Much better. So Josh Jelly, Town Engineer. So a few months back, we released an RFQ to address a flooding issue we have in town that involves one of the subdivisions from a few years back. And so we received a bunch of proposals, 5 of them. We ended up interviewing 3 of them, and the selection committee went with one of them, which was Beta. And they gave us a proposal of, what was it, $89,430. And I requested for the capital expenditure for next year, $100,000, so that would cover that budget. So I'm looking to award them the contract.
This is the development that went bankrupt.
Yeah, that's the one on West Farm Road. Yep, correct.
Now, is the flooding in the development itself, or is it affecting other
Some of it,
neighborhoods?
but we're mainly trying to address some of the abutting properties. So there's properties on Greenwood Lane, Clark Drive, and Whitney Drive that are affected. And so we're going to have them look at the as-built of how the development actually was built. And then they're going to see what they can do to actually like do short-term mitigation for that, for those particular development addresses. And they're going to look for long-term.
Yeah, this is the typical situation where the developer takes off and the town is left holding the bag. So the retention basin was supposed to be built in the development. Is that where the problem is?
So they did build the BMPs where they're supposed to be, but there's a bunch of things that contribute to it. One of them being a lot of the properties that they built ended up being larger than what was planned for. So a lot of the engineering behind the BMPs, like the basins and stuff like that, it didn't account for it properly because it was built much larger than need be. That, and we had some of the engineering plans reviewed. We had the engineering plans reviewed by another party, and they reviewed it and said that there were flaws in the plan as well. And so we'd like to just go back and
Well, when was it reviewed by the other party? Was it reviewed after it was approved by the planning board or before?
So that part, I'm not too sure because I wasn't here, but I do know that after the incidents happened, after the problems started occurring, we
Right,
had another
okay.
company get involved and they reviewed everything.
Do you know if there was peer review of the engineering
At the
for
time.
that project?
I know we did in-house reviews for that one. I'd have to double check. I'm not too sure if at the time when they
In-house, yeah.
initially released it, if there was peer reviews.
Right.
But going forward, because I know, I imagine this is where you're going to go with next, any division or any development that's coming in town, we are having all of them peer reviewed now. So that way, anything that comes in, we're going to review it on the engineering side in-house as well, but we're also having an engineering company come in and actually review them all. So that's just to avoid this type of stuff in the future, or at least do our best to avoid it.
Yeah, especially with the developments that are coming in now.
Yes,
This is
and
just
so
the
there's a
be-
few of them
this is
coming
just-
in.
I'm afraid this is just the beginning of what we might be facing in the future.
Yep.
I mean, flooding is becoming a major issue in the town.
Oh, it definitely has, and that's
Yeah.
why we are doing that,
I mean, they're talking about a hydrology report in here. Maybe we should do them before the developments are approved.
So all these developments do submit a stormwater management packet to us, and that's one of the things that we do actually have reviewed. Like, we have like 2 or 3 of them being out for peer review as we speak, and we do have them review that as well. But unfortunately for this in particular one, we'll have to do it after the fact.
Yeah, and this $100,000 isn't going to solve, it's just to figure out what's
Correct.
going on. It doesn't
Correct.
actually fix anything.
Yeah, because they need to do the analysis before they can actually come up with some kind of feasibility and like a plan for fixing it first. So you are correct.
Any other discussion?
Just a comment, Mr. President. Councilman Ionati, I was thinking the exact same thing when I was going through the packet last week. The flooding issue that we have in town is just out of control, and unfortunately, I think these types of items, I know this one in particular is because of the developer going bankrupt and things of that nature as well, but I think these types of issues and the town being on the hook for kind of re-engineering, basically some developments because of the lack of drainage and flooding issues is on the horizon for us. So I appreciate all the work that the engineering department's doing to peer review now and making steps. You can only do so much, right, with the way that the laws are right now and the way the development is going, but
I can't
just-
promise funding or anything like that, but obviously, because like you said, it's a multi-step process, and so we are going to be looking to do and get any kind of grants or funding outside of us funding as well, but one step at a time. So.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Smithfield Town Council hereby authorizes the approval of Beta Group's proposal for the Deer Run Estates RFQ.
Have a
Second.
second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item D, consider, discuss, act upon authorizing relocation of capital reserve funds previously designated for the Spencer Street Drainage Bypass project to be applied toward the completion of the Hilldale feasibility study.
So, Josh Gilly, town engineer again here. So DPW is actually doing a similar study as we speak for this development in this area. Last year during the budget session, DPW and town engineers' budgets both requested funding towards this project. DPW did receive that funding, but we did not. And so we do have another project that I did receive funds for, but we haven't been able to make any progress on that yet, and so it's not going to be addressed this fiscal year. So yeah, we're just looking to move that funding to help pay for that feasibility study for the other analysis that's already being done.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Highview Hilldale project. Where's the study? I mean, this was supposed to be done in 26 weeks, and that was 26 weeks from last June.
I think Gene will answer some of that.
It is done. Good evening, Gene Allen, Director of Public Works. The feasibility study in its final stage, we do have the report. I've been in discussions with the town manager as to the next steps moving forward, as it does have a few decisions that I believe need to be before this board before we meet again with the residents.
Is this going to be a very expensive remediation, you think? It sounded like it would.
Yes.
Yeah. And does the issue on Deer Run Estates that we talked about previously, does that affect this as well? Because
So-
they're so close to
They
one
are,
another.
but if you think about going up through the Blackbird Farm at the top of the hill, Deer Run is on one side of the watershed, and the Hilldale is coming from the other side. So there is a split between the watersheds. So the study that was done on the Hilldale is separate from the issues that are on the Deer Run. Some of the problems originate from the same area, but there are other issues with the Deer Run, as Josh had mentioned.
Now, there's a proposal for a very large development, I'm sure you've heard, on Lime Rock Road.
Yes.
And how would that affect either one of these, either the Deer Run situation or the Highview Hilldale?
So the Deer Run, think of it, kind of goes towards the West River. The Hilldale and Highview area comes down to the culvert on Route 7. The properties being proposed off of Lime Rock, they would be required to contain all of their drainage, as all projects are. But they would come down Lime Rock, and they would eventually merge with the same discharging going underneath the same culvert on Route 7. The proposal, the draft report that we have now, we're not proposing to upsize or touch the culvert on Route 7 going underneath that the state owns. So at that particular point is where both projects would have to consider in the study.
So where do they actually all converge? Where's the actual
Well,
convergence?
West River takes care of the Deer Run. It kind of goes towards Lincoln in that area. The other two go down to Georgeville Pond.
So do you think that an upgrade would be needed? You said you're not recommending it? Or, yeah, I mean, assuming that the new project is approved.
So the new project that's approved obviously is going to be under scrutiny as far as what its drainage requirements are and how they mitigate it. Much like the Deer Run, as Josh had mentioned, when it went in front of the planning board, they said this would be the size home and this would be the size lot or clearing that would be taking place, and that's what was approved. When the developer then went and sold the lots to individual builders, many of those lots, if you've gone through there, the house is much larger, and almost the entire acreage of the lot has been cleared. So therefore, you have a lot more area that's been cleared. Therefore, your time of concentration going into the detention ponds and the volumes changes. So that's where I believe some of the problems are going to be, have to be mitigated. Plus, the construction of some of the detention basins will have to be
Well,
investigated.
once a planning board approves a project, does anybody from the town keep an eye on what's actually being built? This is the question I always have.
So you need to abide by that. If you want to build a 5,000 square foot house versus a 3,000, if you want to build a 5,000 square foot house versus a 3,000 square foot house, that I think would fall, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe within the building department. But again, I don't know that they can control the size of a house that is built on a piece of property that somebody just purchased.
Well, if we have a lot of these big condo developments, do the condo developments have to be the size that the planning board says they have,
Well, as
tells
far as the
them to?
number of units, the size of the units, I think those are much more heavily regulated because
Right.
it's an association, there's association agreements and things of that nature. But I think in the Deer Run, for instance, I think that becomes a challenge when you have, a half acre lot or a full acre lot, whatever it might be. And if you buy it, you want to be able to do whatever you want with that lot within, what is allowed.
Okay, we're still on item D. Anyone have a motion? Oh, hang on.
Tom Hodgkins, 200 Farnham Pike. When the council approved this last year, they approved for it to be funded out of the operating budget. So why hasn't that happened?
It's done, right? She can answer. The report's done, right?
He's asking about the funding.
Yeah,
He's asking about the funding.
when we came into this problem when we identified what the problem was mid-budget season, we took the $100,000 that we had in our budget and we set that aside to pay for that portion of the study. I believe it was 140,000, give or take. 40,000 was going to be coming out of the engineering budget. But as Josh said, apparently that wasn't approved in the budget. But prior to that, we thought it was going to be. So this Spencer Street is not moving forward, so we're looking to allocate those funds to pay for the balance of the budget.
Right.
I'm having trouble following the process there. So this was brought to the council on July 9th of 2024 with a motion that the funding would be provided through the Public Works and Engineering operating budgets. So if that was going to be provided through this current year's operating budget, why do we need to transfer from the reserve? Was the funding in place when the town executed the July 2024 contract?
It looks like it was in capital improvement budgeting. Is that right?
But that's not what was on, what the council voted on last year. What the council voted on last year was to pay this out of operating.
Go ahead, Gene.
I can't speak to the engineering budget at the time. I know Josh wasn't here at the time. I know that we set it aside in the Public Works budget to pay for it out of our operating. I'm not sure of the details on the engineering budget side.
Does engineering, yeah?
Tom, can you repeat your question? Sorry, I was having a hard time
Yeah,
following.
so
Can you just repeat your question?
My question is, when it's the first month of the new budget, it's July 2024, and with the town, so everybody knows what the budget was at that point. The proposal and the motion that the town council approved was for it to be paid out of the operating budget. And what's the motion tonight before the council is to reallocate capital reserve funds to pay for this. So my question is, why is it not being paid out of the operating budget, which was what was approved by the council last year?
You're saying Spencer Street was approved originally? Help you.
Josh, it was not in the budget, correct? That portion of it.
No, that wasn't
Okay.
put aside in the budget. I wish I could address more to why that wasn't, but I didn't do the budget last year. But he didn't, there were no funds put aside in the budget, in the operating budget at least for this. And so, yeah.
I guess my question is, it looks like the town entered into a contract that it didn't have funding for in July of 2024. So that's concerning. And what the town council approved was for it to be spent out of the operating budget. So I'm unclear why the town's entering in the contracts and presumably spending the money when it wasn't in the budget. I have another comment generally about this in the last agenda item, which is it concerns me that there are deficiencies on private property, which is affecting other private property, which the town's taxpayers are now being asked to fix. Why should the taxpayers foot that bill? And I don't have an answer to that. And it seems like it's going to be more money and it's ongoing. So I don't know why that's occurring. I think there are other ways to remedy that without the taxpayer having to pay for it. And I think it's something for consideration, what we've talked about in terms of pending legislation, of the tax burden of development in the current legislation, how that's shifting the tax burden to municipal taxpayers. This is another example of this, of a tax burden that's being shifted to taxpayers to pay for development that was mandated by the state. Thank you.
That's exactly right.
Ed DeMail, 75 Whipple Road. I was listening to that Deer Run. I'm just trying to understand. The engineer and the construction guy who did it, shouldn't they be subject to making sure, engineer, that the waters are gonna flow properly instead of, maybe there's a suit for the first one. Like Mike said, why do we have to do this? I mean, and the second thing is, all respect to Gene, I like him. Gene, why, when a construction person who purchases the land, gets the land, sells it to somebody else, oh, so that's a loophole. He's off the hook for how the land is proposed. Oh, I want a 5,000. The owner wants to build what he wants. Why don't we build a 50-foot skyscraper too? I mean, there's got to be words in this with the engineers and the people who purchase the property. That has to be done before it goes on, and then we say we have a water problem, and it comes to the town. No, they're responsible. They're responsible for the water, not the town. And the surveys, an astronomical amount for a survey, blows my mind. But I think going forward, there should be wording in this that the person who purchases the property, when he goes to pass to someone else because he just wants to make a quick mill, that has to be in the contract, the same way, the same legal jogging. You just can't, well, we passed it on, so you can do anything you want. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that.
Thank you, Mr. DeMayo. We'll take that under advisement.
We also the developers, they post bonds. And I think we need to make sure before the planning board gives even part of the bond money back that the development has been done in
The town has
conformance.
we've taken bond money. We've taken bond money in the past.
We took some, yeah, I think we took some from Deer Runners, but some had been given back.
I think we need to be more aggressive on that.
Yeah. Deer Hill Estates wasn't enough,
Before you were
right?
to post cash bonds,
Yeah.
but now we amended the rules and regulations, so it's just surety now, right?
Yeah, there was a $200,000 bond that we took to finish the construction.
But it wasn't
of this.
enough.
It wasn't enough when you take into consideration,
Yeah.
because these drainage problems didn't really show up until after the fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're kind of getting off track, but is there other types of remedies that we can have against the developer? Because they're being, maybe that's an Anthony question, but I don't do. Is there something that we can do, some type of action that we can take against this developer? I know this has been an ongoing problem where he's bankrupt and we're just,
I believe
Stuck
that was
with it?
I believe that was looked into, and there are some challenges with it.
okay, there was, okay. I wasn't around during this time, so I don't recall.
Thank you.
That's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Councilman?
All right, authorize the reallocation of funds previously designated for the Spencer Street Drainage Bypass Project to be applied towards the completion of the Highview Hilldale feasibility study.
Have a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item E, consider, discuss, act upon the town manager and the sewer authority to enter into a contract with the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 52 at Stillwater Construction for renovations of wastewater treatment plant, bathrooms 1, 2, and 3, for the amount not to exceed $160,700 to be paid with the Capital Reserve Fund.
Josh Jelly, town engineer. So we currently have $75,000 in our capital budget for this year to renovate those bathrooms, as stated in the paper. The bathrooms are the original bathrooms. There's a lot of cracks, floors that need to be replaced. The conditions are not that great. And so we sent out an RFP, and we received 2 responses, initial responses at least. Both of them very good companies, highly recommended. And then we asked afterwards for both of them to submit like the brands and the materials that they plan to move forward with and stuff like that. Only one of those companies responded. We reached out to the other one multiple times, and the communications just weren't there. And so that's why we decided to just go with the other company and move forward with that.
Any questions?
You have 75,000 allocated for your capital budget. Do you have an actual capital fund?
Like, where's the money come from, you're asking?
Where is your capital money? Where do you keep it? is there a capital fund for the sewer authority?
Yeah, the sewer does have its own fund, correct?
Right. And how
And so
much is in that?
Off the top of my
Approximately.
head, I'm not too sure. I could get back to you with those numbers off the top of my head. I don't know the exact number that's in the reserve at the moment.
Didn't the finance director review this, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, okay. She had checked to make sure we had the money.
There is
So-
money in there.
No, definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yes.
So do we have enough money coming in to cover, on the sewer fees, to cover the capital needs of the sewer authority?
For this project, yes. I do think that we need to address, in a different topic, we need to address that more in the future because I do think that revenue needs to be higher to address some of the things that's going on with the sewer because costs have gone up and like there's some changes that happened in our wastewater plant treatment, the wastewater treatment plant contract and stuff like that that we have to accommodate for. And so this year I requested, I think like 8%, 9% more than I did the year before for that reason. And so to address those in the future though, I am currently looking at alternative ways to raise the revenue. And so whether that be sewer rate fees, I do think that we need to get a new sewer rate study done. I know we had one done a few years back and it was brought to the town council and it was asked to do a 5-year increase and they all agreed on 3, and this being that last year. And so I do think that another rate study needs to be conducted and perhaps I can look into like permit fees to like negate ways being on the resident and stuff like that. But I am looking into that more for addressing future projects and stuff like that.
Well, do we have enough money coming in to cover our operating expenses right now?
This year, we're projected to go under. We're projected to not, so we're going to have to pull out that. We have the funds in the sewer fund available to cover it. But
Right.
the amount that was actually budgeted for this year, we're projected to go over. And so we'll have to pull out of the reserve.
So we're running a deficit?
For this year,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
Next
think we
year I
need to look at the revenues,
I agree. Yep.
definitely. Maybe as part of this budget process, we can look at the revenues. I didn't see the revenues in the budget document for the sewer
The
authority.
revenue, tomorrow night's the revenues end of it, but, no, I'm well aware of it, already discussed it with the finance director and the town engineer. We have a deficit issue in the sewer authority, and we have to find a way to fix that. We're gonna make the recommendation probably to the Budget Finance Review Board and then to the council, but we do have a deficit, and it's been there for several years, so I was not happy to see that brought to my attention, but we have to do something about it.
And how are we covering the deficit?
From the reserve, because there was enough money in the reserve
There
for
is a
now.
reserve?
Yeah. So basically, we're taking away stuff that had been put aside.
Could we please get those numbers
Yeah,
right
I can
now?
definitely get
All
you
of them, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Yep.
I know this was brought up a while ago, and it seemed infeasible at the time, but maybe the new town engineer would feel compelled to look into this, but I think sewage fees or cost by usage would be probably a heavy lift in the beginning, but I think overall it would make more sense for the residents. We have residents with 6 bathrooms paying the same as residents with 1 bathroom. It doesn't make sense. So I think some type of usage formula might help with the revenue issue, and then also I think it would be fairness to residents as well.
I am looking into that as well because.
I know it's a lot.
Usage or per bedroom, something like
Yeah.
that, because like you just said, one bedroom pays for the same amount as like a 2 or 3 or whatever. So there is alternative ways to try looking at it, and so we are looking at those as well.
And I think about like, say someone who owns a 3-unit, 3-family home, right? There's 1 bedroom in each, or there's 1 bathroom in each, so it's 3 bathrooms total. That person who owns that unit is paying 3 times the sewer bill as someone who has 5 bathrooms in their house. So it doesn't make sense.
We might be an outlier. Would you check and see what the other municipalities are doing?
So one of the things I am actually doing is I'm currently trying to get a hold of some more of the town engineers in the local area, and I am looking at getting the municipality, like sewer rate fees, permit fees, all those type of things in the surrounding area.
I know
Okay.
we're off topic. I'll make a motion to approve, nothing that has to do with this, thank you. To approve item F.
Bathrooms 1, 2, and 3.
Sorry, it's not item F, it is item E, bathrooms 1, 2, and 3 for $160,700.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item F, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into an agreement for fiscal year 26 and 27 to the Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation for disposal of solid waste and recycling material to be paid out of the Public Works operating budget.
Good evening, Gene Allen, Director of Public Works. This is our, every 2 years, we have a contract with Rhode Island Resource Recovery. This is a relatively simple year as they're keeping the rates the same for the next 2-year period. As far as what our tipping rate is $63 per ton, and we still are not paying anything for the recycling tipping fee.
I'll entertain a motion.
I authorize the town manager enter into an agreement for the disposal of solid waste and recycling material with Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation for fiscal years 2026 and 2027.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Is this an offer we can't refuse?
Thank you, Matt.
I can refuse any offer, but it's a good offer. It's a good offer.
No, what I'm saying is if we refuse it, we have no place to send our trash, right?
Sure you do, you're just going to spend 3 times as much money to do it.
Oh, okay.
No, actually, by state law, we're required to send all of our materials there.
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item G, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into a 1-year contract with T. Miozzi LLC of North Kingston for the rehab of road service to be paid out of the Public Works operating budget.
Thank you. This is a 1-year contract extension to P. Miozzi. They had a 3-year contract with us. They did a good job up until the last year. They had a few problems with a few streets that they were repaving. We were able to get them to come in and replace those streets, mill them and overlay them at their cost, to no cost to the town, so they made good on that. They also documented that they went through an ownership change, and I think some of that may have affected some of their quality. They've certified to us that they've gone through a lot of training, and their staff has gone through training, and the recent paving that they've done is much better quality. I would recommend extending this because this is pricing that was established 3 years ago. I think realistically, if we had not had the issues with them and made them come back and fix it, they probably would not have been willing to extend this. If you think about everything that over the last 3 years, it's probably gone up 30%. I think that's where you would see a lot of these costs coming up if we went back out to bid. So I think for this next year, it makes sense that we do this.
Right.
What was the road problem? I noticed that there's like a seam in the middle of some of the roads.
Some of
Is
the
that it?
quality as far as structurally, the roads were probably okay, but they weren't up to, they had proper compaction. We have all the testing that's done. But aesthetically, they were a little rough. Some of the center lines were coming apart. So we did have some problems, and we had them come back and make repairs.
I'll entertain a motion.
Authorize the town manager enter another 1-year extension for the contract for rehabilitation of road services with T. Miozzi of North Kingstown.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Nays, ayes have it. Item H, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a poll petition for Rhode Island Energy to install 2 new poles on Colwell Road.
I have no objections to the location of these poles.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I thought of a question. I know we've done a million of these, but does it change the Wi-Fi capabilities when you put in a new pole, or is it literally just the pole, has nothing to do with the
They're
wires?
just replacing the structure of the pole itself.
Oh, I
And
see.
then transferring. A lot of times they're adding another pole so that they don't have a private property trespass with another service line, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion? Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item I, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a poll petition for Rhode Island Energy to install 1 new pole on Man School Road.
No objections
So
to
moved.
these locations.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item J, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to execute the Second Amendment to site lease agreement to GTP Infrastructure LLC for communications tower at the Department of Public Works. Works.
So if you recall, we do have a communications tower that was owned by American Tower. It was installed in the early 2000s. They did an amendment a few years ago. The first amendment was to add a generation station or a backup generation to that tower. This proposal is to look at extending the lease to make it more marketable for them to have attachees. Currently, it's scheduled to sunset in 2038. This would extend it to 2070 with 5-year increments that we could, with 30 days notice, rescind if we wanted to.
What do we get for that lease?
4,000 and change per month, so about almost 50,000 a year.
That goes into your budget?
I wish. I don't have any of those funds.
Okay,
No, but we do get a 4% increase every year on that.
okay, thank you. Any more discussion?
What happened to the communications tower we had with Verizon at the fire station? So they're just paying the same thing, there's no contract?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
said they never pursued it, and
Yeah.
we haven't heard anything from them.
Maybe we should send them an increase.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Nays, ayes have it. Item K, consider, discuss, act upon authorizing interim town manager, gotta fix that. Town manager to execute a partnership agreement with the Rhode Island Department of Transportation for the high school stormwater treatment project.
So the Rhode Island Department of Transportation is doing some water quality improvements with the drainage system along Pleasant View Avenue and in the high school itself. This is putting some underground drainage detention in and some water quality structures. This has been before the school committee, and they have approved it. If this is approved this evening, I anticipate that Rhode Island DOT is going to be shortly going out to bid, and we may see that construction over this summer period. That's what they're shooting for. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything concrete yet, but that's what their goal is. And this has been reviewed by both Anthony and the school's legal department.
Any more discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
So, the second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item L, sitting in the Water Supply Board, consider, discuss, or act upon authorizing the town manager to execute a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency emerging condiments and small devastated community grant agreement, engineering and design of Log Road Water Main extension for the total cost of $143,400.
Thank you. So if you recall, I was before you previously for the engineering contract with Beta Group to do the actual design of this. It was subject to the approval of the grant 100% by the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. This is that agreement for that amount. This will also include the design of the culvert that needs to be replaced as part of this grant. Once we get done with the design, then we'll go out and we'll have a good understanding of what the construction costs will be. We'll go out to bid, and then we'll make application for that portion of the work also to be underneath that grant. We've been informed that they have $1 million to put towards this, and this is to assist the Hebert Health Center because they have some serious problems with their existing wells.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
So,
Have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it.
Thank you.
Item M, consider, discuss, and act upon entering a contract, the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement 563 with Liberty Chevrolet of Wakefield, Mass. for the purchase of one 2025 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 series pickup truck on behalf of the school department in the amount not to exceed $62,553.96.
Good evening. Angela Mancucci, Smithfield Public Schools. This vehicle is a maintenance vehicle. We currently have a vehicle out of service, a 2009, that did not pass inspection, is no longer roadworthy. This vehicle would be replacing that. As you discussed earlier, it's very hard to find vehicles lately, and we, kudos to Carlos for shopping around on the MPA to come up with a vehicle. and we tried even used vehicles, actually cost more than new vehicles now, and either A, you're gonna pay and you're gonna wait, or you're gonna buy something off the lot, and trucks are disappearing by the day.
Angelo, did you say 2009?
2009, you wanna buy the roll-up handle?
No, no, when did it go out of service?
This year. And
This year?
Correct.
Okay,
We make them last.
okay.
How many miles are on it?
Over 175,000.
What's it used for?
Maintenance division and plowing.
Plowing?
Plowing, yes, sir.
Where do you plow with that?
We plow the schools.
You don't plow the schools. Who does the plowing? DPW does the plowing, doesn't it?
No, sir. We have a subcontractor.
All right, you have a
who does-
subcontractor
who
does
do
it.
the sidewalks and all the access roadways.
So what's the,
Sidewalks, you said, Angela?
Sidewalks, yes.
You plow with a truck?
Yes, we do. They're 8 feet wide.
oh,
That's separate, yeah.
Excuse me?
You got the machine for the sidewalks.
You don't plow the sidewalks with this truck.
We plow the sidewalks with our truck.
well, this figure's high. I just bought a truck. This figure's high. I bought a truck, got sunroof, air conditioning, heated seats, plow. That's what I paid for it. So I don't know if everybody's driving around in a sunroof and heated seats. Maybe we want to relook at that.
No, this vehicle is just roadworthy. There's no frills on it.
I'm just telling you, I bought one. And that's what, cheaper than that.
Mr. President, if I may. And I'm not trying to pick on you. I've noticed that many departments come with purchases of vehicles. And in this situation, to your credit, your vehicle, it sounds like it's, when I read the memo that says not roadworthy, I wasn't sure what that meant. It sounds like it's actually unable to be registered, correct?
not pass inspection.
What's the inspection issue?
Rusted out.
Rust frame, broken frame crackage, rusty, the engine, and also the wheelbase is separated.
So the engine light's on, is what you're saying? Well, you can pass inspection if you have rust on your car, so there has to be a light on.
No, it's rusted right through.
Oh, like
It was, they got a ticket that they went over it with me. It can't go on a road.
It was rejected. So, good evening, everyone. Dawn Bard, Superintendent of Schools. This is the second go-round for this truck, so I do want to read directly from the report on what is wrong with that truck, so that you know it is not an engine light. Truck does not pass a state safety inspection. Bed severely rotted, broken and falling off. Cab severely rotted at cab corners. Inner and outer rocker panels, left side brake calipers seized. Wheels are severely rotted, tires are worn, engine knocks when cold startup, engine block severely rotted. Front coil spring mount on chassis rotted where spring sits. Truck is not roadworthy, exclamation point. So this is the shape of the 16-year-old vehicle. So at the school department, we do keep our trucks for 16 years. It has over 175,000 miles on it. We knew this was in rough shape, including with the plow. We cannot buy cars off lots like the general public can. So this is, I'm going to respectfully disagree with the council member. This is a very good price because if we go out to bid, it will be higher. When we were here last year, we knew this truck was in bad shape. We tried to bundle this with the lunch truck. It would have been less expensive. This truck happens to be sitting on a lot so that we can use it. In the meantime, the director of facilities is using his personal vehicle to do maintenance work, carry equipment. It definitely cannot plow. This is an additional cost to the school district, which we did do a ballpark. So we will be paying certainly for his truck. We need to for the liability if it's a road truck. We do need at the 70 cents per mile reimburse the director of facilities. That fee is over $4,300 a year if we just took the average of what the mileage that he does on the car, on the truck. This vehicle that he drives, however, is not the size of that truck, nor does it have the plowing. This will also require an additional cost of getting quick other run-throughs from our third-party vendor. When it snows, and it snows throughout the day, there are multiple pass-throughs that will happen while students are inside of the school so that they're safe for our buses and it's safe for students coming in and out of the building as well as families. So this is not a frivolous expense. It is an urgent expense that we're asking to take this from the school department's reserve fund that the town certainly secures and holds on to. So we do need to replace this truck. It is not frivolous.
How much is in the school fund balance?
Almost, I believe, about over $600,000. So
No,
So
wait
my-
a minute. That's not the school fund balance. That's the, I think you're thinking about the school capital
I may
account.
be thinking of that. So it is late at night. If you don't mind, if I can call up our Director of Finance, Melissa Devine.
I'm sorry, dear. I'm Melissa Devine, Director of Financial Operations for the school. The school department currently has 1.8 million in the capital, the fund balance, and it's actually being earmarked for OPM services. It's not fully reserved out for projects, but the OPM and the architect work partially that's currently going on right now for the improvements. So
So it's my understanding that the school department owes the town $650,000. Is that accurate? 750, I'm sorry.
It's the boiler.
That's the Boyle Complex. There is no loan. There is no amount that is owed from the school department to this town. I've never seen an agreement. I'm certainly on public record and in April of 2024, telling the former town manager that we would not be I could not speak for the school department, the school committee. We would not be taking out a loan. However, congratulations, town manager, on your appointment. We have had discussions about doing fundraisers. The school department has authorized an account for us with our rental fees and with any, to be able to deposit that will go towards working with the town to be able to pay off this amount of debt.
Do you have paperwork stating that?
Stating what?
That the money that the town gave you is free and clear?
I don't have any paperwork saying that the school department took out a loan for the Boyle Complex. The school department put in $2 million to that. I do have paperwork that says that. Certainly, we're working back. I do not have any loan documents. School departments cannot take out any loans, although there has been cooperation in terms of us developing a fund to be able to do that. $750,000 is an awful lot of money on a school district that's budget has been pretty level funded for over a decade.
Wasn't the
However,
Boyle Committee supposed to look into getting sponsorships or naming rights to parts of the Boyle Complex so that, you know, we get private funding for the concession stand?
so it was a discussion topic in terms of who is left on the Boyle Committee and who is charged with that. There were very few people when it's come down to going out into the community that were willing to do that. However, we have started certainly fundraisers, including through the bricks. Right now, main job is running the school district. We have some construction projects that are online as the weather is nice. Yes, we have discussed, particularly at the last meeting, whether or not and how we would do the fundraising that would go into that account. So
I understand that the last council approved that money with the understanding, I believe it should be in the motion, with the understanding that you would pay back the town and with sponsorships and whatnot. It wasn't a loan. Well, I guess they did take out a loan. Well, it was
I think we got the
was
money
moved.
from, maybe from one of our capital funds. It was borrowed to be paid back from one of our funds.
I think at this point, what I'd like to do is put this on next Tuesday's agenda so we can do research and find out where we are with this whole thing.
Yeah, but I remember it was supposed to be paid back with corporates, et cetera, and I think it was your motion, Mr. President, at the time when,
Yeah.
you were sitting over there and you were very concerned about where the money
Yeah.
was coming from.
Why don't we put it on next Tuesday's agenda? So
The
we
car?
can see what we can find.
Truck,
What's that?
the truck you're saying?
Yeah.
That's fine, and I want to reiterate my concerns. You guys need a truck. I understand that. That truck sounds like, I don't even know how it was functioning up until a few months ago, honestly. So I respect the fact that you need a vehicle and that you need to do maintenance. I respect the fact also that there's someone using their personal vehicle. Obviously, that's not ideal. So I support you guys having a vehicle. What I don't support is a state-of-the-art, brand-new Chevy. So what I think we should try to do, and I've said this before with other departments trying to purchase vehicles, I don't know if there's any vehicles in town from other departments that aren't being used that maybe could be reallocated. I don't know if there's a way to purchase a vehicle that's a few years older. I mean, I did a quick Googling. I'm not a car guru by any means, but quick Googling a 2020, 2021, 2020 Chevy of this type that you're requesting was $30,000 on multiple websites. And then I know originally you requested a Ford F350, don't know. And again, Google told me it's similar car, I don't know. But those prices were less, like $19,000 for something of 2020. So I know you guys have a lot of money in the account, but I just don't think that.
We're not like private individuals that we can go to a used car lot and pull a truck off. It will not come with any guarantees, at the very least, even if we can. That's why we went through Carlos. This is not a state-of-the-art. It is sitting on a lot. It's sitting on a lock until the end of the week. We will then lose this particular truck. The process for last year when we ordered the box truck and tried to put this vehicle on, and it was less expensive at that time, was waiting significant months for those to be able to come in. So that would be what a next step is. But in terms of having the school department go to a used car lot, that would be just very atypical. And again, we would have no guarantee on that car, on that truck. If the DPW, and I have asked Gene Allen if he would mind giving up any of the 7 new vehicles that DPW has, he just said he could not give those up. So that was asked because we know that there is a shorter lifespan for replacements at the town. 16 years is what we keep the vehicles for. That is a long time.
I'm not saying that you guys don't need a vehicle. I know you need one, and that's fine. I know it would be atypical, but I think it would be budget conscious and productive long-term for all departments to do this.
I just don't know that we can do that as a school department. We could certainly ask the
We have other
attorneys.
business to do. Can we move?
But,
We got other stuff to do.
well,
We're beating a dead
we've
horse
been
here.
here.
What's your motion?
We table it. We're moving
Go
on.
ahead and make the motion.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Tom Hodgkins, 200 Farnham Pike. I'd encourage the council to reject this item until we can figure out what's going
Tom, we
on
already tabled it.
with the reserve fund. Well, I don't think it's voted on, so I'd like to speak on it, and I'll be brief, because I'll speak on it next Tuesday. That concession stand, I raised serious concerns to the council about the financial impacts and the lack of planning for that concession
Tom,
stand.
we're talking about a truck, right?
No, we're talking about money from the reserve fund. So I want to be clear about, and from what the school department said, this council approved spending $750,000 to be paid back to the town. And if this council's not going to get that back, that's a total betrayal to the taxpayers. This council when the council voted, they promised to the taxpayer that there would be no taxpayer money spent on that concession stand. And that concession, it cost almost $1 million. And this is, to say that they're not going to pay that back, that is just ridiculous. It's a slap in the face to the taxpayers. It's probably the most expensive bathroom in the state of Rhode Island right now that the taxpayers had to pay for. How would they not get that back? It was a motion that the town sent them the money and they spent it based on that agreement. Thank you.
Motion to table to to May 20th.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Consider to discuss act upon a bid award to general contractor, prime subcontractor services for ride, health and safety, culinary emergency project on behalf of the school department.
Good evening. Patrick Robler with Collier's Project Leaders, the OPM for the Stage 2 and emergency projects. So I come before you today to award the recommendation, or to recommend the award to Clean Care of New England. They were one of two bidders that submitted on the project. They were both low in qualifying. In the packet that was submitted to you, we'll skip past the letter for right now, is the bid tab with some clarifications that were established through the bidding process. And as you can see at the bottom, the Clean Care of New England submitted a bid for a total of $244,000 even, and Consigli Construction Co. Incorporated submitted a bid for $319,250. The next document is the conceptual estimate from a third-party estimate, or a third-party estimator, Miyakota Consulting. They're a Rhode Island revered estimating firm that a lot of RIDE projects utilize. There's also some notation in that document explaining how the estimate breaks down for those who are not used to looking at these documents. Basically starts from a very high level and then breaks it down more granularly as you move through the document. And then subsequently attached are the two bids that were submitted, both Consigli's and Clean Care of New England's. So I'll open it now for any questions.
Any questions?
What fund is this money supposed to come from?
So I believe this is coming from the school capital fund.
On the town side, yeah. So we specifically would have to approve that the money come from that fund, and that should be added to the motion.
No, I checked, we discussed this, Anthony, right, that once a project's approved, that will pay out of the fund, right?
It's got to come out of the capital.
Right, out of the capital fund, so either we need something to indicate that that project will come out of there. Or we can pay
Yeah, it should be in the motion. It should be added.
Okay, so Melissa Devine, Director of Finance. So I did put a memo together, and I know that legal counsel reviewed it. I was really cautious. I know that, Mr. Ionati, that you had questioned me about that before, and I had mentioned last year that I was new at the process here in this town, coming from a city that works differently, and so I was very particular about ensuring that I did it the proper way. So we did go through legal counsel, I had a memo together, and they said that it gets approved the way the, I think you sent me over the language that's in the charter.
Yeah,
And it said that it would be approved basically when we bring, as we bring the contract. So the funding source gets approved in that motion when the contract. So again, I just want to be sure that everyone knows that I did attempt to.
This was also a project that was specifically put into the request by the school department for the last fiscal year to be funded out of that particular fund, and I think and the town council put money into that fund, and this was one of the projects. There were a list of projects that the school committee wanted funded.
Right, and so that's what we're doing, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, yes. Yep.
Well, Councilman, you have a motion? Well, Councilman Ionati?
Mike's going to put that.
Okay.
I move that the Smithfield Town Council award RFP 25321 for culinary CTE, RIDE Health and Safety Emergency Projects to the lowest responsible and evaluated bidder, Clean Care of New England, located at 3618 West Shore Road, Warwick, Rhode Island, with a proposed cost not to exceed $240,000 $244,000 to be funded from the school capital fund, revolving fund, which is on the town side of the budget.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it.
Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, consider, discuss, act upon, or authorizing a request for proposal for annual boil cleaning services on behalf of the school department.
Good evening, Angela Mancucci, Smithfield Public Schools. This is to go out for advertisement for our annual boiler cleaning for all vessels for all the schools.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it.
Thank you.
Consider, discuss, act upon adopting a resolution in support of restating and general revenue sharing for the cities and towns to reduce the impact of inflation to citizens of Rhode Island, co-sponsored by myself. This came out of the State House, asking everyone to vote on a resolution to send back to the State House for general revenue sharing. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
First of all, I think there was a typo in here relating to, I think it references, oh, maybe that's in the next
That's the
one.
next one.
Oh, that's the next one. I don't think general revenue sharing benefits the town of Smithfield. I think we end up putting more tax money in than we get back. I did some calculations because in the bill that was introduced 2 years ago, it was also 39 million. And it looked like 6 communities received almost half the money. So I doubt we get back what we put in for taxes. Rather than a surplus, the state right now is running a very large deficit.
No,
I think
that's not accurate.
they're not running a deficit?
No, we're running the surplus now with 67 million.
Well,
To the revenue estimating that they had last week.
Right, but that's just on what they estimate more revenues coming in. But,
Yeah. There's no
I've heard a deficit, but,
Well, they originally thought it was a deficit until they had the revenue estimating.
But, I think that Smithfield would get about 700,000 plus, a little bit more than $700,000 out of this 39 million. So I don't really think revenue sharing benefits Smithfield. I think that we pretty much, they'll tax us, and then we won't get as much money back, and then we'll probably have strings attached to it. The formula this year is for it to go by population, but next year, who knows? I mean, they had this complicated formula in the statute before, so I don't think this is a good idea for Smithfield.
Any other questions?
Oh, we can always talk to our legislative liaison, our reps and senators, see what they can do for us.
Do you want to move this to next Tuesday so we can ask the questions?
No, I'd rather do it now and then.
Make the motion.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Nays?
Nay.
Abstain.
Ayes have it. Consider, discuss, act upon adopting a resolution in support of Senate Bill 57 and House Bill 5393 regarding the maintenance of sidewalks, co-sponsored by myself. These two bills would put the onus on the state to clean the sidewalks rather than the town. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion?
There was a typo in here. It refers to the town of Narragansett. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth whereas. I think it should be Smithfield.
Oh, so we need to make a motion on that.
Make a motion to approve, subject to that amendment.
Secondly, I actually looked at the bill, and it does exclude snow removal. Just so everybody understands that. So I don't know why the state isn't already responsible for maintaining their own sidewalks.
Well,
but I'll go
once they
along
put them
with
in, we own them.
Yeah.
So that's why. So, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the amendment.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item R, consider, discuss, and act upon rescheduling the August 19th, 2025 Town Council meeting.
Motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is there any particular reason for this move?
I'll be unavailable
getting
August
married.
19th due to my wedding.
Okay.
So if we could do the 5th, that would be great. Thank you.
Well, there's always a chance.
Any more discussion?
Unless I get left at the altar, then I can come.
Any
That's
discussion?
an excellent reason.
Is wedding an okay reason?
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item S, Councilwoman, you have to take it over. I have to recuse myself.
Item S, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a resolution for the submission of a proposed program for year 2023 Community Development Block Grant application. Chris?
Chris Corsafaro, Acting Town Planner, Planning Department. This is our only application this year through Community Development Block Grant. This is through the competitive round. Deadline will be towards the end of the month, the 23rd, actually. It's through Tri-County, and it's for a dental plan program for youth and residents within the community. It is a mobile unit. They do it in 2 other programs, and they may even be based out of the new neighborhood center.
What else could this be used for? The block grant money?
There are, I shouldn't say the town has a lot of choices. There are a lot of choices for public services. The town, because of the census tract blocks, we're very limited.
I'm not opposed to giving it to them, but I mean, if it would go to Smithfield's specific people, I mean, I would rather see that.
This piece of the grant is limited. It has to be spent in Smithfield. It cannot be spent into another community.
Right, they service like all different people. Not that that's a problem, it's
Right.
just that's a fact.
So Smithfield residents who
Only.
need the dental services would
Correct.
go to the facility off Mineral Spring Avenue.
Yes, and they also have a mobile unit that they can bring here.
Also a mobile unit.
And then hopefully we'll be moving services into the new neighborhood center as well.
Right.
So you just might want to change the resolution. It says it passed on this 20th day of May. So
Correct.
you might want to change the
Initially,
date.
whereas that will need to be revised.
So want to add that amendment in a motion, maybe?
Any further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Yes. A couple of things. So Rachel, so we'll note your date correction instead of 20th. But also at the top, it says State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations. That is not the correct name of the state anymore, so we have to make that correction as well. With those corrections, and also, Town Council President will not be able to sign this if he's excluded from talking about that. So with that, I move the application for the PY 2023-2024 Community Development Block Grant Public Service Project Funding.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Just
Opposed?
discussion, just a question. Was this advertised? This was advertised, correct?
Twice.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further discussion?
Hearing none?
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment.
Ed DeMille, 75 Whipple. In regards to the truck that the school department wants, Councilman Winfield knows trucks. He's got a beautiful truck. Maybe he can get on the internet and find something new on other lots, because the school department does nothing about trucks. They don't know if they're coming or going. He knows trucks, and he could probably get it for half the
Thank you.
price.
We'll take that under advisement.
And the other thing I want to say is, on behalf of Chief Seltzer, is that previous administrations, being on the Historic Committee, didn't seem to take, even though the governor came here, an interest in that East Smithfield center like Chief Seltzer did. He kind of went forward and said, hey, this is a good thing for the town, and what I observed and what I heard from Robert. So, thank you, Chief, for going forward to try to keep whatever historic we can keep in this town. Thank you very much. We'd like to keep historic things alive, and you went forward more than most.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, nays, ayes have it.